Welcome, family. Today is October 26th, 2024. And before I begin, I wanted to clarify something from the last video. I had mentioned that a dear friend of mine had called on Thursday, and when I woke up on Monday, I responded to her. I did not sleep for 3 days, although I would love to do that at some point in time. But I got a hold of her on Friday morning. So I just wanted to make that clear. I'm thinking, wow, 3 days of sleeping. That sounds good to me. But no, that did not happen. Now, on to today's topic, which is bringing heaven on earth. I love the prayer, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And I remember when we were growing up, my mother would take us to church every Sunday. And I remember how we used to hold hands when that prayer was being said. There was about 120 of us in the church, and it was extremely powerful. And the kingdom of heaven is God's every essence of thinking, living, and being. And it is intended for us to restore the relationship with Him. It is beautiful that we can all come together and say that most beautiful prayer. I think it is extremely powerful. And when we can hold hands, the energy that flows, it's undeniable. The Spirit is very present. Also with that, we have been given His Spirit, and it transforms us into His likeness. And Jesus says, "You will do greater things than I." The kingdom of heaven requires us to continually strive towards humility, grace, and forgiveness. Life is the classroom as we know it, right? We have to live through circumstances and situations. God never promised us an easy path. He never promised that our journey was going to go flawless. And in John 8:12, Jesus says, "I am the light of the world." We are the light of the world. Knowing this, we reflect the light of life. We don't have to wander in spiritual confusion or live in darkness or hopelessness. And I know I talked about this in the past, but it's just so easy to go there. With everything going on, it's just so easy to get into those places. But that's where Christ consciousness comes in. And we all have it. I was listening to a song this week. I love Michael W. Smith. And the song was called "Breathe." And in the segment of the song, it says, "Your holy presence living in me." This song came up throughout the week. Just out of nowhere, it would pop in my head, and then I would hear the song playing. And so I decided that I'm going to try, hopefully this will work, to attach that song to this video so that you guys can play that at your convenience. But if not, I would completely recommend that you listen to it. It's "Breathe" by Michael W. Smith. Heaven is a realm not bound by earthly limitations. It inspires, encourages, and enlightens us. It encompasses spiritual significance and eternal hope. Hope is so important in all of our lives. It is a place of perfect peace, joy, and harmony, where believers will experience the fullness of God's presence. And He's always there with us. We just need to continually believe it when it doesn't feel like it. Sorry, it's really windy out today. But I'm trying to get as many videos in outside as I can because I know my time will be limited. In Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, the plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Heaven assures believers that earthly struggles and sufferings remind us of the ultimate destiny, not bound by this world. We're not bound by this world. We're bringing heaven on earth. It calls us to seek heavenly treasures rather than worldly treasures. And that requires or encompasses the joy and the hope and the love and the peace. That is all what we are a part of. To invest in relationships, in acts of love that will be valued externally. We create the love, peace, and righteousness in our interactions with others, carrying the essence of heaven wherever we go. That's why it's so important to keep others in mind. And I know sometimes it's not always easy, especially if they're behaving a certain way that makes you feel uncomfortable or they're not very nice to you. We don't know what's going on in their life. We don't know what's happening or why they're behaving the way that they do. And sometimes the simple act of love can make that difference in their life. So we create the love, peace, and righteousness in our interactions with others, carrying the essence of heaven wherever we go. We are the heaven on earth for everyone else. Speaking on carrying the essence of heaven, I'm going to share another story with you guys. These are testimonies, basically. So when I had stepped down from the worship team, I attended the Assembly of God Church for a period of time. And during that time, one of the girls during service, now the worship team was up there, but the music was just playing. There was no songs or words or anything. And every so often, people would go up front to the altar and just kneel and just be there praying in the presence. And something kind of nudged me to go up and put my hands on I call her my sister, but put my hands on her shoulders and just pray with her up at the altar. So I did, and I went up there, and it was just so peaceful, and it was so wonderful. And I just remember just looking up, and all of a sudden all I could see was the windows of heaven opening up and pouring me out a blessing. I couldn't move. I don't know if you want to call that slain in the spirit. I wasn't on the floor laughing or crying. I couldn't move. I was just so in the present moment. And I remember the pastor walking back and forth where the worship team was and just saying, wow, the presence of the Spirit is very heavy today. And it most certainly was. And honestly, I never experienced anything like that in my life. And it was amazing, the peace that surpasses all understanding. I totally get what that means now. Eventually, I made my way back to my chair, and I didn't want that feeling to go away. It was amazing. I always wanted to be in that present moment. So after church, I went home, and oddly enough, my family followed me all over the house. It was if that spirit, it was pure energy running through me. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And they followed me all around the house. I would be in my daughter's room putting away laundry. Everybody ended up in my daughter's room. We'd hang out there for a while. I'd go to the kitchen. Everybody came to the kitchen. And it was so amazing to see this. And at the time, I wasn't as aware. But eventually I caught on. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're just following me around. The Spirit is I'm filled with the Spirit, and they're being magnetized in. So that happened that evening or that day when I went home. It was really amazing. And I had that feeling for a couple of days, and then slowly it diminished. But that was quite the experience. If light signifies the Lord, and He is in us, then we are also the beacons of light. We are the ones to be the way makers, the overcomers. Love through grace, empowered good works. Heaven encompasses far more than the physical location. It is the divine presence, but the divine presence that we all have and that we all carry. And may our lives reflect the beauty and glory of heaven. We're the ones to bring heaven on earth. We're the beacons of light. We're the way makers. There's no lack. It's all in our minds. Don't allow that to creep in. Remember, we are all a light, and we are the light of the world, and we will continue to be. As hard as it seems at times, and we struggle, we all do. Remember, the beautiful path ahead, and it's all there for us. We just have to keep believing and striving for it, and knowing there will be an end point, but we just have to keep going. And Jesus had followers, but His intention was to create leaders. The Christ within us, Christ consciousness, that's what we are. We are all the leaders. That's why He came here. Christ lives within us. He wants us to continue His works and do those wonderful things that He had done. So I wanted to mention, and this is really interesting because honestly, I wasn't even aware of this until I just got in prayer and it just all came to me. So I touched on 3 of the 4 elements, which is really cool. I brought up the winds of change, or the wind chimes of change, which is wind or air. And then I talked about fan your flame, which is fire. And now I'm talking about heaven on earth, which is earth. And next week, I will be talking about flowing waters, because that was put on my heart to put on. I didn't even realize those were the 4 elements until I started looking at it going, wow, this is really cool. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, let you know. And I also wanted to leave you with many blessings for the week. And may you be filled with the love and joy and peace that surpasses all understanding. And until next week, with much love and light, bye for now.